So here for step 1, what we're going to do is cut the cable to the right length. So because the RCA cables here have a much better thicker cord, I'm going to use the majority of those cables. And then we're going to cut this long enough so that we have enough cable to work with. I'm going to say a foot long, works for me. So I'm going to go ahead and strip this away from the other RCA cable because it happens to be a video cable. Step 2. What we're going to have to do now is strip the cables and prepare them to be connected together. What you're going to find during this step is that the issue is that the smaller audio cable normally has a type of wire that does not have an insulation that you're used to. It actually is a painted insulation, and we're going to have to burn it off, so I'll show you that. First thing to do is go ahead and strip your cables to about 1 inch long, and then we're going to move on to the next step, which is actually taking off the insulation off the outside, and this is still part of step 2. Alright, so the easiest method that I have found to do this is to take a lighter and actually light the first like ½ inch, and you saw it catch on fire there. You'll see that happen to each one of them, and that's the actual paint layer burning off. If it starts to burn down, go ahead and blow it out because you still need that barrier there after you connect. Then what you'll do is rub them around a little bit in your fingers, and what that'll allow it to do is to actually break away any of the crust that's left on from the paint burning off. And then if you look closely, you now have bare copper wire showing on each one of those that we've burned off. Lastly, on the RCA cable, we do need to strip the positive lead. And what we want to do is just strip it back about ½ inch. And now we're prepared to connect the two leads together. Alright, gents, this is step 3. What we're going to do now is connect the cables together. We've got our cables all stripped clean and ready to go. The first thing we're going to do is tie all the grounds together. Just if you don't know what the ground is, on all the cables, you'll notice that the ground is one unique color, and on these cables it happened to not have any type of insulation on them. There's 1,000,001 ways that you can do it. You don't have to do it the way I do it. I'm just telling you this is the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to twist my grounds up. One thing very important is that when you twist the ground of the cable that had the painted insulation, make sure that the area that you burnt off is definitely connected well. Next thing we'll do is we're going to cut off any kind of access. Now normally I would actually solder this joint, but because the studio isn't completely set up yet, I've yet to get my soldering station completely set up. So we're going to move on and just use some cheap old Harbor Freight butt splices. Yes, I said butt splices. I'm only going to use one end of the butt splice. This is not normally how you would use a butt splice, but because of the thin wires, I do not want to put one in each side of the butt splice. I've never used these. And you gotta love the things that you get from Harbor Freight. Alright, I'm pulling on it to make sure there's a good connection, and it is. The next thing we're gonna do, if you notice there was a red and a blue and a red and a white, we're gonna pair the red and the white and the blue. Again, make sure the area that we cleaned off and stripped mate. Don't just twist it anywhere on the red wire because all this other red region here is actually insulated. And then we will next step we will do is actually put the butt splices on the remaining cables. And we're going to tape them down. Normally I'd use heat shrink, but we're doing it backyard DIY style. So, one thing to take a look at is the smaller wires here. We've got to get them wrapped up nice and tight, but be very careful not to nick them because they are painted insulation. So what I'm going to do is put a light twist on it until all the wires come together. Then I'm going to hold and pinch everything together and go ahead and tape the butt splices down. Once I get the butt splices down, I'm going to ensure that that twist is still in my small wire. And I'm going to work around to that small wire, getting it all nice and taped up evenly. So, for the final step, we need to hear some sound come through this cable. So what we're going to do now is hook it up, play a little sound, see how the sound cable sounds. Sound, 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 sound. Hit the, get out of multi-track and we'll go right over here, buddy. Headphone.
Yes.
Alright, and then we're going to hit play on that here in a second. Alright, let's give it a shot. Here, go drag it back and let's play it one more time. So, we'll check out this thing and see if it works. Is these smaller wires that have the painted... He wasn't recording. Why would you... Is these smaller wires that have... Mr. DJ, that's enough. Well, as you can see, sound quality is awesome. Cable works. And thank you for watching Backyard DIY Engineering.